Hi. I know, you're like, who is he? Hi. Did you enjoy the movie? Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Matt Bernstein. I talk about politics and culture on the internet. And I am here to introduce my friend, the co-writer of this film, the producer and star of this film. Give it up for Ilana Glazer.
Okay, Matt is a creator who I admire so much, and they're 25, I'm 37. Culturally, my baby, but I like to follow the youth. I believe in the youth. And Matt is also my educator, Matt XIV on Instagram. Check them out. Cool.
This isn't about me.
It's about us. It's about this unique combination of people that'll never be repeated, you know? So, okay, let's go. What's up? How'd you feel? Did you like it? Did you giggle? Did you laugh really hard? Anybody cry? Oh, good. That's almost my favorite part these days, you know? The space to feel.
Ilana, this movie addresses pregnancy and talks about pregnancy in a way that I think is really rare in media. How did you, when you were writing the script, decide how these characters were going to talk about pregnancy?
That's Kevin Barnett, about whom the character Claude is based. Yes, that was me and Josh Rabinowitz, our co-writer, my co-writer, our mutual best friend who we lost in 2019, and I love seeing his face up there. So, you know, like, it's doing like press and stuff and talking about like a work is so interesting because it started in my body and then it is now outside of my body and now it's in your bodies, this experience of seeing it. And it's like, you know, I keep being like, there's this conversation of like approaching a subject and it's like, oh, I don't know. Like, I just was pregnant and Josh's wife was pregnant and we thought it was hysterical, the things that we were going through. And we produced the movie and Susie Fox, our manager, also produced this movie. And Susie had a 1 and a 3-year-old and was in hell at the time that we were writing it, hell on earth. And but the most, you know, sort of privileged kind because everybody was healthy and it was fine, but just like such a hard time. And we put together this list of the most insane things we were experiencing. Becoming parents, the train under my ass. I couldn't love anything more. New York. Oh my God. It's like sitting on a dryer, but here we are in the Angelika Film Theater having a Q&A and vibrating together. Anyway, so, you know, we were just like, this is hysterical and this is insane, like the amnio scene. I actually didn't get an amnio. I don't think Susie did, and I don't think Josh's wife did. All you got to do to make that scene funny is go, do you know what an amnio is? And then some woman who's had it tells you, and you're like, seriously? Like, for real? That's like such a cartoon. I can imagine doing that to a horse, you know, or a cow, but a human, we just put in, you know, it's just, the truth of it is so hilarious and absurd, and we're so speaking to your education and the way you make the way I have faith in the youth because of people like you. You know, we've been so systemically dissociated from our bodies. We should all know what an amnio is. We should all know that you birth the placenta. Let a bitch know. Let a bitch know before her legs are open in some person's face, in John Carroll Lynch's face, you know what I mean? Like, let a bitch know that you have to birth the placenta, please. And it's not like, truly, I'm not trying to like, teach. I just think it's fucking funny. So for me, I just like, I want to know what's the funniest fucking thing, but from the truest place. And I find that to be the genuinely funniest shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like crazy to me because I was watching this movie. I saw it the other night at the premiere, and I felt like I was learning way more from the movie than I should have been because sex education is
Right.
not that great in this
Right.
country. And I mean, I remember like from elementary school how they split us up, boys and girls, and this results in like adult men not knowing where the clitoris is.
Right. Planned Parenthood was on the carpet, on the pink carpet, and asked, like, what's the first thing you learned in, this is Rose Goldberg, she was in charge of the carpet. Was that a gorgeous carpet? Yes, give it up for that deep rose carpet. I see why you did it. But Planned Parenthood, they asked me on the carpet, what's the first thing you learned in sex ed? And I was trying to think of like what the thing was. And I was like, oh, that girls and boys are a binary and fully separate. How scary that was. You know, this is my best friend from 5 years old, Andrew. Just put your hand up, sorry. You know, we were separated during sex ed. No, I want to be with my friends. This is so scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you learned a lot.
Yeah, I did learn
mean
a
it.
lot.
Didn't mean it. But.
Right, because it does call into question, like, and I love you, but it's like, why am I learning what childbirth is from Ilana Glazer?
fully. I don't want it this way, you know? I don't want it this way. I want healthcare for all, you know, and education for everybody. Not this, but here we are.
How do you think mothers and creators today are changing the way that we talk about pregnancy?
Well, I definitely see a lot more space made to discuss how hard it is and how painful it is, which I really appreciate because I'm 37. I was born in 1987. I grew up in the 90s, and all the moms were like expected to pretend they were having an awesome time, and that seemed like it sucked. It seemed so oppressive. It's so hard to parent and also be a partner, and so I'm seeing a lot of space made for how hard it is, and I think that's doing a lot of good in releasing shame, and also I think it's helping to put the pieces together for millennials and Gen Z to see that things like aren't the way they should be. Like we're talking about education and healthcare. You know, it's not just like, this sucks. It's like, because we're completely unsupported in this journey. That's why it sucks, not because it sucks to create human life. That part's dope. So I think that's really helpful. Something that I'm experiencing in the last hour I toured in stand-up and with Babes is the joyful experience of it and reclaiming that in a new way, which is, I think, more nuanced and more honest and not such a script that's been like shoved down our throats.
Can I just say, I didn't know that pregnancy can make you horny.
Oh my God.
Is that a thing?
Like nuts. You know, and like when I went through puberty, I was like scared. I was like, what's happening? This time I knew what was happening. You know what I mean? And couldn't make another baby at that time. So it was, it was crazy.
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose, baby. Everything is on fire. It's nuts. It's really intense and beastly. You know? Yeah. Okay.
So I am in my mid-20s now. I'm your child. I would like to be your child.
You may. Culturally, it's definitely happening. Legally, I don't know, but...
And some of my friends, the ones who are coupled off, God bless them, are getting ready for marriage, children.
Hilarious.
Not me. I have a long time. But, you know, some of them are.
Can I ask, are they in the city? Are they in Jersey? Where are you from? Jersey girl? Jersey girl?
From Jersey, live in the city, so both.
So both friends your age are going down the track.
Just starting to. It's not, if you're like me and you're in your mid-20s, like, we have time. But, you know, some of the fast-tracking ones. Mm-hmm. Everyone has time. That's very true. But so I'm
I couldn't do the
curious.
math on the words, but I see what you mean now. Who doesn't have time?
Yeah, there's no time limit. But
I was like double negative, but I see what you mean. We all have time. You know what I mean? I was like, who doesn't? Do we all? You know what I mean? But we are all in space-time together moving forward. Oh, I see.
But so in this vein, like, something I'm really curious about as someone who's single and plans to be single and childless for a long time is how, and something you address in the movie, like how does a friend having a child change your friendship in your experience?
It's so rough.
Yeah.
It's so rough. There's so much loss. And it's like you don't know when you'll get them back. And I definitely was on Eden's side of it for a long time. And my daughter's 3 years old, and I'm like, you have this list, and like friends fall after the child and after your partner. It's really fucking sad. It's sad. There's stakes there because you need those friends too, and they need you. And you're like, I think when you're the parent, you're like, what's going on out there? Did you wake and bake? That's cool. Like you want that access to your old life, but it's really genuinely hard. If you have access to therapy, that's always my advice.
Do you find that there's like a circling back that happens in these friendships, like when parenting becomes less like all consuming in like infancy or something?
I don't know it because my daughter's 3, but I mean it's definitely. I guess once she was after she was a baby and into a toddler, I had a certain like breath. I was like, okay, I see, I've made it. And now she's a toddler. She's like becoming a kiddo, and that's a different. Yeah, and I think once she's in like real school, kindergarten, there will be a circling back. I think something that's lovely about friendships that are strained by parenthood is that because you have less time, you're realer, faster, and there's not as much. I mean, to this point that you make in asking about mothers and parents who are creators. There is space to be like, I'm struggling in this way, like I think there's less like binary scripting that's happening. So it is nice. It's softer and it's more raw in a way that's pretty thrilling. I've found so far.
I think a lot about, this isn't in my list of questions, but I think a lot about like the kind of more recent history of like mothers documenting motherhood and pregnancy and all of that. And I think this movie is in some ways like an extension of the mommy blogger of the 2000s and 2010s. And I know mommy bloggers get a bad rap, but I think it's kind of like a groundbreaking thing to just be like, this is the unvarnished truth of what I'm dealing with.
Yes.
Did this feel cathartic? I've been getting over bronchitis for a month.
Oh, I got this.
Did this feel cathartic to do in that way?
Yeah, I mean, it was totally cathartic, and it's like to watch. I think also this experience of being in these screenings and laughing together at it has been cathartic, and also different kinds of people laughing together about young. I mean, not young like I'm young, but like new motherhood. Feels good in a way, like culturally. We've been watching marginalized voices get their chance to tell their own story, and not only in TV and film, but on social media, as toxic as it can be. I do think it progresses a certain kind of authenticity in covering women's stories, Black, brown, trans, femme stories. Then, of course, TV and film are like, oh, and weirdly right now, AI can replace you. Right at the point at which marginalized voices can tell their own stories. So it is important. It's just like, so it's like actually like urgent that we keep writing and speaking and filming and whatever, making it from us. So it's been cathartic in that way to see like this sort of like familiar rhythm of like a rom-com or a New York movie. There's like something classic about this movie that I'm proud of, and to see a story that's like weirdly hasn't been told in this way, it feels cathartic, like something's completing for me.
Yeah. Speaking of New York movies, this is an extension in some ways of your New York-based work.
Yes.
I'm so interested, just like on a logistical level, what is it like filming a movie in New York City, and do you have any memorable experiences from this one?
It's psychotic. It's like risky, like genuinely risky. And it's so funny. Our city is so funny. It's so heightened, and the disparities between people forced into a small location is such a funny premise.
Yeah.
It was really hot. It was stinky. When you film, you have to turn the air conditioning off because it fucks up the sound because it's like zzz, you know what I mean? And then you turn it off and you're like, okay, that's actually what quiet is. And so it was very hot and sweaty. Something funny. Oh, the breast pump scene. Okay, we were like filming and it was like late at night and we're in this backyard in Harlem and then somebody went, "Shut the fuck up!" And it made us all laugh and end quickly.
Do you have a best piece of parenting advice that comes to mind?
I did say this already. Get as much therapy as you can before becoming a parent. If you have access, if you have that privilege to have access to therapy, get as much as you can. I don't know if there's enough to get. So that your toolbox is really carved out and you know how to reach into it. Okay, if you miss the boat and it's during parenting, get it whenever you can because it's really hard and it's like so easy to hate yourself. You know, the scripts that we've been fed from TV and film and every image you've ever fucking seen is like, you're not enough. You'll never be enough. And then in the context of parenting, it's so fucking depressing. So at any point, therapy. But I would say another piece is like turn your phone off at times for periods. Turn your phone fully off.
Yeah. Period.
Yeah.
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 And then we touched on this just a little bit before we get to audience questions, but like how much of this movie was informed by your own experience? And at what point in your own parenting were you like, I want to make a movie about this?
Every scene, every moment is informed by me, my co-writer Josh Rabinowitz, and Susie Fox, our producer, and our friends. Okay, so Susie's friend had her friend of a friend was having her second kid, and it, like happens with Dawn, comes faster than the first. She didn't know, so her husband wasn't home at the time. So she drove herself to the hospital with a baby crowning while driving. Got to the hospital. Her husband was like late because they didn't know it was going to come so soon. And so she is crawling through the hallway, and that's how we got that scene. Crawling through the hallway of the hospital because the baby was coming out, dog, coming out of her. So every scene, every storyline, every joke is really from the three of us and our like tribe of people who've just dumped their horrors on us over time. And I was pregnant while we wrote this. So Josh and Josh's wife was also. So we were not even yet parents when we knew we wanted to write about this experience.
Kudos, mama.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah.
Who's asking? Better things like changed my life. What was it like working with her and just like learning from her experience of? She has like 3 kids, I think, or yeah.
So what's your name?
Leah.
Leah. So Leah was talking about what a legend Pamela Adlon is, and Better Things changed Leah's life, and wanted to know
Broad City.
and Broad City, and wanted to know what it was like working with Pamela. Pamela is like a genuine, like a rock star from the 70s that you meet that you're like, what's going on? She's like, don't know, you know, like she's like, she's an unbelievable, like real classic energy that you don't find that much anymore. And she's a real, I think the word is kinesthetic learner, where it's like super sensorial and it's about like the literal texture of things and the sounds. And she's soulful and a real champion of actors. She loves acting so much and the craft of it, and really would like give a piece of herself as a director, give like a finger, you know, a proverbial finger before a scene, like before the scene of us reuniting and I'm in the prom dress. Before I come out of that, you know, I'm like waiting in the stairwell and I let Elena Uspenskaya, who plays Dragana, out before I leave, and I let Elena go out and I hold the door a little bit, and then before I like exit to pretend I hadn't been holding the door for her. And I was like having trouble like locating it and like how I was like Eden was refinding her way back to Dawn. And Pamela told me this story about this time that her heart was broken. and that she didn't know what was going to happen with this guy or something. And she just really gave it to me. You know, it felt like she was ripping off her pointer finger and giving it to me to hold for the scene. And it was intense and interesting and awesome.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and having a question to ask. I'm not going to pick. Matt is. I can't do it. They're all my babies. Yeah, okay, last one. Thanks, everybody. And
Last
here's
one. Yeah, right here.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, what's your name?
My name's Chris, but you can call me CJ if you'd like.
Love it, CJ. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I think this is your funniest and most affectionate performance to date or so in this movie.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's really sweet.
And I noticed that I remember a few years ago you did a horror movie called
Yes.
False Positive.
Yep.
And now you're exploring the pregnancy in a comedy. Like, how does it feel exploring pregnancies in various genres?
I love that question. I think it's it feels really interesting, you know, because it's like women get so pinned or you know marginalized voices, but as a woman, like women get so pinned into a thing, and you're supposed to be one thing once, or even just like not even women, just like people. It's like you do something, people want to rely on you for it. It feels interesting and exciting and powerful, and personally, like growth. You know, False Positive really embodies my fear of becoming a parent, and also like fear of entering the, you know, misogynist medical system in such a vulnerable state. I was like, yo, you know, like that is going to be tough. And it is. It's like, I even had like a female OB, but like just like a harsh energy, you know what I mean? It was just like, okay, you know, like it's tough. And I went like a hospital sort of traditional Western medicine route, and it's not chill. So, you know, it's like both about becoming False Positive for me personally as an artist is like my fear of becoming a parent, and also like getting into that whole vulnerable situation where as I'm in my personal life and creatively taking so much pleasure in presence and in the process. And I think that's very much recorded here in Babes. So thank you for your question. Thanks, CJ. You did such a good job, Matt Bernstein.
Before we all head out, if you guys loved the movie and want more people to see it, tell them to come see it in theaters.
Yes.
This is such a special movie
Thank
to
you so
see
much.
in community with each other. This is about such a personal journey that so many people can share, and it's really one to see in theaters. So
Thank you.
post about it, tell your
Thank you
friends.
for seeing it in theaters. I really appreciate it.
Give it up for Ilana Glazer.
Get home safe. Love ya. Bye.